Hey, Karen. Muted. You're muted.
How about now?
Okay, Paulie, I got you.
All right.
Got you, Karen.
All right.
Hi, Karen.
Hey, Paul, what's going on?
Nothing much.
It's good. It's hot out there.
Oh my God, yes.
The humidity is brutal. It's actually hotter here than at my parents' old place in Florida.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ian Phillips, if she wants, she wasn't in the academic section. So, she said she wanted to have counselors deal with them, and she was considering those that were right now, so.
Ann, I can see you there. I'm going to mute Lynn because I can hear you guys talking.
I'll mute her.
All right.
Testing, 1, 2, testing.
Got you loud and clear, Michael.
Thank you, James. How's Karen and Paul?
We're good.
Wonderful. Lynn, looking as good as ever.
Here.
Perfect, Lynn. I can see you now. All right, Vince, I got a mic check, please.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Thank you. Fred.
Okay, well, I'm here. You got it?
I got it. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Johnny, give me a mic check.
Can you hear me, Jim?
I got you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
All right, Dennis, thank you. Got you loud and clear.
Cool.
Good afternoon. Rick, mic check, please. Unmute yourself.
All right. How's that?
Very good. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Good to be seen.
Before we get the meeting started, Deputy Mayor, I'd like to remind everybody that's currently on. If you have background noise in your home or place of business, please mute yourself until it's your turn to speak. We don't tie up the audio on the system. Deputy Mayor, I have 1 PM.
All right, perfect. I'd like to welcome everybody to our July 22nd council meeting. If we could please stand for our flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag
The flag of the
United
United
States of
States
America
of America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
One nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
We could remain standing while Councilwoman Bugh leads us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, as we begin our meeting today, we give thanks for your blessings and for your guidance as the events of this year continue to unfold in the world. Bless all of our endeavors, especially today's meeting. Guide us in our decisions. Enlighten our minds in every decision that we make. Give us your grace that we may effectively do our parts as public servants. Bless our plans, programs, and projects so that we may achieve our objectives and continue to make our community safe, strong, and healthy. We pray that you watch over our first responders as they work to keep us all safe. Guide our educators as they develop plans for our children to safely return to school in September. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Lynn, can you read the Open Public Meetings Act announcement?
This is to advise the meeting notices covering this meeting have been sent and posted as required under the Open Public Meetings Act.
Thank you, Lynn. We have approval of the 6/17 council meeting minutes. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Any comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You,
Yes.
Theory,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Lucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
Approval of payroll requisition list and operating expenses. Can we have a motion and second?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, can we have a roll call?
You,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Lucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
I'd like to open it up to public comment. This is public comment on agenda items only.
If anybody that is dialed in on the telephone, wishes to speak, if you hit *6, that will let me know that you want to speak, or you can unmute yourself. Okay, Deputy Mayor, I see no interaction from the public.
We're going to close public comment at this time. Our first one is ordinance number 5 of 2020, which is a public hearing and adoption for the land use ordinance. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, let's open it up for a public hearing.
Deputy Mayor, I see no interaction from the public.
All right, this time we're going to close the public hearing. Are there any council comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Lucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
We have ordinance number 6 of 2020, which is a public hearing and adoption. And this is for the removal of a handicap parking space at 306 West Evans Boulevard. Can we have a motion and second?
So moved.
Second.
All right, let's open it up for public hearing. Any comments from the public?
I see no interaction from the public, Deputy Mayor.
All right, let's close public hearing at this time. Are there any final council comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon. Reardon,
Mike,
Yes.
unmute yourself.
Yes, yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, so it's ordinance number 7 of 2020, which is an introduction amending code chapter 284, section 44, schedule 8 for a stop sign. And this is to put a stop sign at the intersection of Shipmaster Drive and Lighthouse Drive at the southwest corner of Shipmaster. Can I have a motion and second?
So moved.
Second.
Any council comments? All right, seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
So next up, we have ordinance number 8 of 2020, which is an introduction. And this is an ordinance of the City of Brigantine amending Chapter 165, Article 2 of the Code of the City of Brigantine entitled Street Openings. We have a motion and second.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Jim, can you go over this for everybody?
Sure, Deputy Mayor, I'll give you the short version of it. As we've progressed to various projects here on the island that required the roads to be open and restored afterwards, we noticed some deficiencies in our existing ordinance. So along with Superintendent Doring and Engineer Doran and Fred, we tightened a lot of things up in there that will give us a lot more clarity and a little bit more authority when it comes to utilities or other companies wishing to open up the roadway for work, especially when it comes to the restoration side of it.
Perfect, thank you. Any council comments?
Yeah, Mayor, Deputy Mayor. I just want to say thank you to Jimmy and Matt, because obviously with what's going on Bayshore Avenue now this year with the gas company just ripping the place up and leaving it like what we don't want it to be. It's a great job, and I'm glad to see that you and Matt stepped up, and I'm sure John Doring had something to do with it also, because we need our streets in good shape, especially during this time of the year. So thank you all.
Any other council comments?
City Manager Bennett, just want to say thank you. The other day, spoke to you, gave me a nice detailed explanation of everything, laid it out very concisely. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate it.
And that's like one of the strengths of this. One of the things we're continuously doing is learning. When we see situations, we have a great team here, and we work to address those problems. And that's what we're doing with this ordinance going forward. Since there's no other council comments, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
We have resolution 2020-117, and this is an insertion of special item of revenue. It's 2020 Clean Communities Grant, and this grant is in the amount of $13,275. Can we have a motion and second?
So moved.
Second.
I apologize. I might have read that wrong. Hold on. I apologize. The grant is actually in the amount of $41,711.50. I apologize. I read that wrong. All right, so we have a motion and second. I see Roxanne give me a thumbs up.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roxanne, do you want to touch on this real quick?
There we go. Yes, Deputy Mayor, it's just a formality. When we get grants after we've adopted the budget, we need the process by which we can insert them in revenue. And this is our annual Clean Communities grant, which is used to support clean community efforts throughout the city, the beach cleanups and various activities. So it's a reoccurring grant. It's just we got notice after we passed the budget.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Any council comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You,
Yes.
Thierry,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have Resolution 2020-118, award of contract for the replacement of a camera monitoring system at the community center. And we have a motion and second.
So moved.
Second.
Perfect. John, would you be able to go over this?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. This is to upgrade and replace some cameraing system that's located down in our community center, just like it says.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any council comments?
Yes, I'd just like to say, being on the recreation board, amongst other things, just for the entire community, it's important to keep our camera, that's a system up to snuff. We have senior citizens going in there and children and just all types of people from our community. And it's just an important thing just to monitor everything in case any problems were to arise. We always have a review system we can go to. Thank you. And one in the best proper functioning manner. I'm like,
Any other council comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, we have Resolution 2020-119. This is a resolution authorizing a change order number 1 to decrease the CDBG pedestrian improvements to West Beach Avenue project in the amount of $15,359. And again, this is a decrease. Can we have a motion second?
So moved.
Second.
Any council comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have Resolution 2020-120. This is a resolution by the City of Brigantine authorizing award of contract for construction maintenance service. The City of Brigantine has a need for professional engineering services. The City of Brigantine authorizes Roberts Engineering Group, which is from our pool, to assist with the management and inspections of the Jenkins Parkway generator platform enclosure. The city engineer recommends the award of contract in the amount of $9,500. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any council comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 220-121, and this work change order number 1 for the sanitary sewer replacement at Roosevelt Boulevard and Sheridan Boulevard. We have a motion and second.
So move.
Second.
Any council comments?
Just wondering if we get just a little clarification or detail. It's like an increase of, I guess, over 50% or so. So if John or someone can add to it.
I'll,
Yeah,
Mayor, I'll
Jim.
Or Jimmy.
turn that
Yeah.
over to John Doring.
Thank you. Yes, this is for the inspection and contract services for the additional work that was required on the sanitary sewer at Roosevelt and Sheridan.
Any other council comments? All right, seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 220-122. This is work change order number 1. This is the installation of emergency generators at municipal facilities. We have a motion and second.
I'll make the
move.
second.
No. Jim or John, do you want to go over this?
I'll let John give the details on it. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. This is a slight increase because of the delay, because of the coronavirus we ran into. A couple of the permits expired. We have to renew the permits. A few things have changed in the scope of work. So this is going to be for the generators for the wells, the lift stations around the island.
Perfect. Any council comments or questions?
One question, I guess. What's the split in this increase between the permitting costs and the design costs?
I don't have that in front of me, but I can get that information to you.
I appreciate that. I'm just curious that, permits to the bulk there, if we had a substantial enough redesign, that's the bigger piece.
I can tell you
Thank
I can tell you the bigger piece is the permits.
Okay.
Who are those permits with?
The DEP.
Okay.
All right. Any other council comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have resolution 2020-123, and this is declaring an emergency or emergent condition exists and authorizing award of contract for construction management and inspection services for emergency sewer repairs. And this has to do with the storm drain collapse located at Roosevelt Boulevard. Can we have a motion and second?
So move.
Second.
John, can you go over this, please?
Yes, Deputy Mayor. This is for after the second heavy rainstorm that we had. We found a storm drain collapse on Roosevelt Boulevard in the intersection of Sheridan. We will be replacing approximately 375 feet of storm drain, manhole, and piping.
John, is that where the cones are right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Any other council comments?
Do you know when that will be performed?
ASAP.
Okay, thanks.
All right, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
Lynn, I have a question for you. Are 123 and 124 the same resolution?
No, one is for the actual contractor, the other one is for inspection.
Okay, that's why I wanted to make sure it looked same to me. All right. All right, so resolution 2020-124, resolution declaring that an emergency condition exists and authorizing award of contract for emergency sewer repairs. We have a motion and second.
So moved.
Second.
Any council comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Feeny,
Yes.
Lucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
Resolution 2020-125, authorizing award of contract to replace the RTU unit at the community center. We have a motion and second.
So moved.
Second.
Perfect. This is for the, I guess, the air handling system at the community center. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'll open up to council.
I was looking at the RTU, and what exactly that acronym, what's it, what is it for exactly? I know you said the air handling system, but do we have a little more info?
It is RTU is rooftop unit.
Very good. I didn't see it like anywhere I could look, but maybe it's in there. All right, thank you, John.
You're welcome.
That was a good question. Any other questions from council? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Feeny,
Yes.
Lucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
We have resolution 2020-126, and this is for general maintenance and repair for various projects. I know that Public Works Department has a need for services and repairs to various city buildings, and this contract would be for Rich Fire Prevention, who has done, I believe, these services in the past. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any council comments or questions? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Feeny,
Yes.
Lucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
We have resolution 2020-127, and this is declaring an emergent condition exists and authorizing award of contract for emergency road repairs. And this is in reference for the street repairs in 3 locations along Brigantine Boulevard due to the 3 water main failures. Can we have, I guess the contract would be for Lafayette Utilities, and it's a not to exceed amount of $53,552. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, John, you want to give just a brief update, just so council's aware of what's going on?
Yes, sir. If you remember a couple weeks ago on Atlantic Brigantine Boulevard, the outbound lane, we had 3 water main breaks in the same day, one right after the other. We repaired the water main break, but we are not able to do the hot patching up to the county permitting. So Matt and I put it out to bid, and Lafayette won the bid. And hopefully it will be completed by next Wednesday.
Perfect, thank you. Any questions from council?
I just like to say excellent job, John, to you and your crew for dealing with that situation. For having that bull by the horns must have been pretty darn hectic. So hats off. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
We have roll call.
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have Resolution 2020-128. This is real estate tax overpayment. We have a motion and second.
So-
moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2020-129. This is a land use fee refund. We have motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2020-130. This is a beach tag refund. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any comments or questions from council?
Yes, I spoke to Mr. Wasiluk, and as well as I think maybe you did too, Vince, also emailed him. And although it's a amount of money on the principal, that's what Mr. Wasiluk was basing his phone call and contact with us on that. So spoke to Jimmy too. It was just a minor mix-up on that, and we're glad we're able to take care of that.
Absolutely. Any other comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have Resolution 220-131, rental registration fee refund. We have a motion and second.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have Resolution 220-132, rental registration fee refund. We have a motion and second.
So moved.
Second.
Excuse me, Vince, Deputy Mayor. Is it possible, I don't know, maybe Fred can answer the question. Can we bundle Resolution 132, 133, and 134? They're all rental registration fee refunds.
From my perspective, there would be no problem with that as long as council prepares to cast the same vote as to all three. If there was any individualization, we wouldn't be able to do it, but we can treat it as a consent matter as to those three.
We have a motion on the floor to combine resolutions 131 through 134. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, so now resolutions 220-131 through 134, rental registration fee refunds. I guess any questions or comments on those? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have Resolution 220-135, authorizing police department to participate in the Defense Logistics Agency Law Enforcement Support Office 1033 program. Do we have a motion and second?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council?
Yes, as a former law enforcement officer and a member of council, I just like to say that we stand by our police department and whatever we can do to have them properly equipped. I'm sure we're pretty much all on the same page. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
I'd just like to say thank you. I got my thank you t-shirt here for our law enforcement, and I wish them the best and stay safe. I vote yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, we have Resolution 220-136, and this is for the Safe and Secure Grant. This is a resolution approving participation with the state of New Jersey in a Safe and Secure Communities program administered by the Division of Criminal Justice, Department of Law and Public Safety. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? I know this is a program that we participate in every year, and it helps offset, our costs for our police department. It's a really good program we've been very successful with. Seeing no questions, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, next up, we have our consent agenda. We have the Brigantine Elks raffle license, 919, Community Presbyterian Church raffle license, 920. We have the Brigantine Surf Jam request and Women's Surf Fishing Club request. We have a motion and second.
I'll move.
Second.
Any comments or questions from council? One thing I'd like to say too, I know that the Surf Jam is always a big event each year for our local families. And I was really glad to see that the organizers of this were able to put this together. And I know they put a lot of time and detail into making sure there's good social distancing. They're even providing masks and stuff. Instead of doing t-shirts this year, they're actually doing masks for all the kids. The kind of the neoprene dry fit material that kind of comes up and something the kids might be able to use for school. And I really think they put a lot of thought into making this year's competition work. So I do want to thank them for that. All right, can we have roll call?
Roll call.
View,
Yes. Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Haney?
DeLucre,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
We have our council manager and committee discussions. Jim, do you have anything for us?
I'll keep it brief, Mayor. As we saw, this meeting was dedicated to a lot of our infrastructure projects. And I just wanted to let Mayor, Council, and the public know. You probably noticed we cut all those projects off pretty much right around Memorial Day. We let a couple of them go a little further just because we had to get the streets closed up. But we are still in process with the gas company with more to come. And right around Labor Day, we're going to start doing the final repairs and closing up Bayshore Avenue and the rest of the gas company work. We'll also be continuing on with doing, I guess, some tune-ups on the Jenkins Parkway and the Hackney Place pump stations to help them flow a little bit better as these storms roll in.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Let's go to Councilwoman Bew. Update from the First Ward.
All right, going along with what Manager Bennett just said, the 1400 block of Sheridan Boulevard, the sewer work will be finished in the fall and repaved when it's finished. Right now, it is a real rough ride. You've got to be very careful driving through there. Drive slowly, please. Also, the final striping or the final paving of Roosevelt, repaving will be finished in the fall. I believe we're looking into temporarily striping the middle of the street to keep traffic going in their proper lanes. I'd like to talk about the farmers market. The farmers market has had tremendous weeks. This past week, they clicked in 1,809 shoppers. It has been unbelievable. We have line constantly. The line moves very quickly. We count people in as they leave. We have people with clickers so that we can socially monitor everyone coming in and out. Everyone is now required to wear a mask, not only the vendors, but the shoppers as well. And I have not seen any issues with it with anybody. Everybody comes prepared with their masks. And everybody is very patiently waiting in line to enter. And we are getting such wonderful comments. Everybody thanks us for getting it together. They're very happy with where it is. We will look again into next year. We haven't made any final decisions yet, so we're still working on that. The Stranding Center and True Spirit Coalition have volunteer tables set up as you walk in the line, as you're standing in the line, and they have been collecting a lot of money for their various projects. And I just would like to thank Jeanette Kessler and her team of volunteers for the excellent job that they're doing. It's been a huge success. And I'd also like to remind everybody that tonight is a CER concert down at the community center lawn. Please bring a beach chair, sit outside, and listen to music by the Tony DeLuca Band. That concert starts at 7:00 p.m. One other issue I'd like to bring up that has been brought to my attention is landscapers blowing dirt into the street, which then goes down into our drainage system, our sewer system, and it is a source of clogging things up. And I'd like to encourage all landscapers to sweep their clippings up, bag them, dispose of them, however they dispose of the rest of the grass. But I know I wouldn't be happy if my neighbors, landscapers, were blowing stuff out in the street and it just comes back on everybody else, all the neighbors' sidewalks. So I'd like to see if there's any way we can encourage the landscapers to sweep and bag their stuff. Does anybody have any recommendations?
I guess I would ask, like, how have we handled this in the past? I do believe we have an ordinance that prohibits people from blowing, I guess, grass clippings into the streets. I don't know if it's a matter of the city reaching out to some of the landscapers or having a conversation with them to kind of let them know the situation.
Deputy Mayor, I can ask Mark Coyne to reach out to the landscapers, and either myself or John, we pretty much know the rest of them.
Yeah.
There and remind them, as to what the ordinance is.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And I just got a message that Monday, the striping of Roosevelt Boulevard will begin, which is a good, neighbors will be very thankful. Thank you.
Perfect. Let's go to our second ward, Councilman Paul Lettieri.
Yeah, I just want to touch on a few points that were made by some of my neighbors and folks here in the second ward. There were a lot of complaints about the fireworks this past 4th of July and seems to be continuing on. It's not just the 4th of July. There were some very impressive displays, one at the school. Someone had some down on the beach, which were fine. We all enjoyed them. But then there were those who were throwing them off the porches into the street, disturbing elderly neighbors because it was late at night, and was also driving a lot of the dogs nuts in the neighborhood. So I did get some complaints about that. And I spoke to the police chief, and he said that, calls for fireworks were overwhelming that night. And he understands they got to as many as they could. All right. I guess people want to know what's going to go on going forward as far as the use of fireworks, because I know some states have now legalized them, so they're in more and more hands. The other point was the pump on Jenkins Parkway. During the last flood, there was some difficulty with the pump, either not extracting the water as it should. John, do we know anything about that? I mean, they asked about the renovations to the outside of the pump station itself, but they understand that that's coming at some point. But this was a little more urgent because supposedly the pumps were not running and pumping the water out.
You mentioned Jenkins Parkway.
Yes.
That's the first I've heard that we had a problem at Jenkins Parkway. The problem that we had was at Evans Boulevard, from Evans Boulevard and 12th Street North down to Quay is where the problem was. Jenkins Parkway at the last 3 storms worked well.
Oh, really?
Yes.
They were saying something about that little waterway that runs through the golf course and comes to that small bridge approach. There was flooding there at that point. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was backing up from somewhere else, and they assumed that the pumps were not working properly.
That could be correct, Paul. Which you'll be seeing in the next month or so, the storm pump station at 12th Street North is in desperate need of repair. The one that we just installed at Quay and Evans is working to capacity. It is every storm, and I'll be out tonight. We're supposed to have heavy rains again tonight. 12th Street North is, Quay Boulevard is working to capacity. The water, just the last 3 storms we had, water came down so hard, so fast, and I believe 2 out of 3 were at high tide or upcoming tide. So the natural flow was not there. It was stopped because of our check valves. So everything that was on the street had to be pumped off. But I was at Jenkins Parkway this morning. We pulled 1 pump because we had a question on 1 pump. And we had it megged, and we had checked the amperage, and everything's fine. And we do that in anticipation of heavy rain tonight. We're out checking every one of them right now.
Okay. Thank you. I'll pass that on.
Okay, thank you.
The third and last thing were emails from 15th Street neighbors, 15th Street North neighbors, concerns about moving those potties around behind the dirt mounds so that they don't have to see them from the front of their house. I know that they did move them up and around, but couldn't get them completely behind the sand dune there or sand pile. Do you think that they'll be moved at some point further back in? Can we get that accomplished?
I believe that has been already taken care of, sir.
Okay, thank you. The second thing is campers overnight on the beach without actively fishing. Now, a few weeks ago that came up, and I actually went down the beach myself, and I spoke to the fishermen about actively fishing during the night. Now, I guess traditionally we've been allowing them to spend the night out there in their campers. Are we doing anything different now, Mr. Bennett?
No, the police go down there and make checks when they can on the grave shift, and if they're actively fishing, great. You know, if somebody's got to take an hour or so nap because they're elderly and on medication, we're not going to throw them off the beach. I've explained to both of the residents, I think, that contacted you, that if they have an issue in the middle of the night, if they see it, or early in the morning, to call the police department, the non-emergency line, to let us know, and the guys will go down there and check them out to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Okay, thank you very much. That completes everything that I had.
Thank you, Paul.
Deputy Mayor,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
if I could just give I guess, a little bit of a response to the fireworks call that the Councilman Lettieri was talking about. With regards to going forward in the fireworks laws, right now in New Jersey, all non-aerial fireworks are allowed. Anything that's aerial that shoots in the air out of a bottle, a rocket, a mortar, they're not allowed. So obviously, when the officers are able to, they will respond to the calls and handle them properly. But to be more direct to your question, nothing that goes up in the air is legal in the state of New Jersey. And I don't want to say it's pretty well known, but I know that the police department did put some information out about it before the 4th. And next year leading up to it, we'll do the same thing. Just keep stressing that they're illegal. And hopefully the calls don't come in at such a volume that they can't get to them all without a delay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to our third ward, Councilman Dennis Haney.
Thank you, Vince. I just want to start off by saying thank you to our lifeguards, all our veterans, all the supervisors, from Chief Kip Hemming all the way down to the rookies who just got sworn in. Big thank you to them. That occurred since our last council meeting, so I wanted to just reach out, give a shout out for that. Second thing, another thing that happened since our last council meeting was Governor Murphy canceling the 25% indoor seating capacity for dining. And this stunned me. I can't even imagine how the restaurateurs and just the owners of these operations involving food were hurt by this. This is just, I could not believe that the governor would make such an announcement just a week, I believe it was like the 29th of June when he made it, when people are stocked up with fresh vegetables, fruits, seafood, meat, whatever, what have you. Why the governor did not at least wait and monitor it. We have plenty of restaurants in our own town, obviously, that were hurt, and all across our whole state. I just don't understand for the life of me why he just didn't decide to maybe monitor it and just see what happened after that week. It was just a very arbitrary decision, I think, that hurt a lot of people. And I just want to say that our hearts are with all our owners of our restaurants, and hopefully nothing like that occurs again. And hopefully we can start getting things open even more so. Along with that, also our schools. I hope we get our children back to school. There's plenty of people have varying thoughts, obviously. There's a lot of data on there, especially on very young children, that they really aren't carriers of the virus and are as much as much certainly as the average flu, with the death rates and things like that occur sadly across the country, even with something such as the flu. But COVID is different. I hope we can get the schools going, get our students in there where they need to interact and have social interaction. And I'm sure someone like you, Vince, or Karen can obviously speak to this, being teachers. Paul also. Hopefully we get our kids back to school ASAP. Another thing I wanted to speak about was regarding the march, the March for Racial Equality that we had back on June 18th. I want to thank our police department, everyone else involved, and just the proper security and having that thing go off peacefully. That was an excellent job. I even got my shirt that says thank you right there. Thank you to our men and women of the blue. Okay. I also, I back the blue. Okay. Back the blue as well. Okay. So I just want to say we all support their First Amendment rights. And as far as some of the things that were said, obviously we support the right for people to say that, but there was a lot of rhetoric and accusations that there are avenues to take those charges. One woman had something to say about her son where she thought maybe something happened to him that was possibly racial, and then there was some other accusation, if you will, about realtors, and that all they cared about was the check, and she had to possibly leave Brigantine. We are a loving town, and we have great, wonderful people all throughout our town. Obviously, the horrific events that occurred with Mr. Floyd have spurred on a lot of things. And obviously, the events with Mr. Floyd's tragic death resulted justifiably in murder charges, homicide charges being brought about. But back to the task at hand, the topic at hand, that is, I just want to say that when you hear things like white supremacy and white privilege, and obviously we do not live in a utopian society. There's going to be problems here and there across the country, but by and large, our city is a wonderful town. Our country has made incredible strides through the decades, back from when I was a young kid in the '60s. So I don't want to go on and on about it. I just want to thank our police department for what they did, and hats off to them. We love you all, no matter what color you might be, black, brown, Asian. White. It doesn't matter. We love you here in town, and please remember that. Thank you. The last thing I wanted to say was that I'm glad that our flag is back at full staff. That was definitely good to see. And I saw a nice little, since I was on the topic of shirts there, I got another shirt for Vince used to surf, didn't you? Okay. All right. So you would appreciate something like this. All right, the front says 1976. It just says, it's an American flag with some surfboards on there, palm trees, long may you wave, and in tribute to our flag. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Let's go to Councilman DeLucre, 4th Ward update.
First, I'd like to thank Councilman Reardon for his initiative in bundling those 3 resolutions. I think they really saved us some time and helped things move more efficiently. So hats off to Mike.
Thank you, Rick.
You're a treasure, national treasure, Mike. Never forget that.
That means a lot. That means a lot to me coming from you, Rick. You know that.
I can see it in your face. Since our last meeting, a lot has changed in the world, in New Jersey and in Brigantine. I'm happy to say, from my perspective, what has changed in Brigantine by and large has all been good, in the sense that you have an infrastructure here of people, employees, residents, who are, with few exceptions that I can see, really doing what needs to be done to enable us to get through the pandemic, a situation none of us have ever dealt with before, and which we see distressingly day by day is probably a lot worse. It's going to be a lot longer term than we initially hoped it would be. But you can control. And in Brigantine, I think everyone has done a tremendous job at this point in making it possible for our town to be as open as it can be, and for people to enjoy and participate in the things that they've done in the past to the extent they can. Certain things aren't going to be available to us this summer or for the long term, things that involve substantial gatherings of people, most indoor activities. No one likes that. No one is happy about that, and certainly no one, if you had a choice, would choose to shut down or to keep closed or to prevent people from enjoying activities and commerce if you didn't have to. But we have to be smart. This is going to be, I guess, my theme at every one of our meetings. We've known for months that there are steps that we can take. Distancing and masks. They're not great burdens. I say that because I don't know if my fellow council people also receive these. I received, since our last meeting, a number of emails, which appear to be a form email, from people urging us as a council to make the wearing of masks purely voluntary and not mandatory in any circumstances. The science doesn't support that, common sense doesn't support that, and sadly, the evidence that we see each day from other parts of the country who are behind New Jersey, behind the curve, or just later experiencing the results of the virus, they demonstrate that that's foolishness. So I'm always very happy to see when people are complying. And again, by and large, that's what I'm seeing in public places where required that people are wearing masks and distancing, although obviously not perfect in its application. It's something we have to do. We don't want to do it, we have to do it. So, let's do the adult thing. The 4th Ward, eventually, I get around to that. I'm not hearing, which is good, a a lot of negative feedback about any of the conditions on either the Cove or the Jetty four-wheel drive beaches, which, as we all know, sort of been problematic at times in the past. So I take that to mean the absence of complaints, that people are happy and things are working smoothly. To my observation, that seems to be the case. So I certainly want to thank and applaud those who were instrumental in the planning and now the implementation of the measures that were taken to try and keep things normal and rational and peaceful in those sites. And we're about the halfway point, I think, in the summer, and I encourage everybody to enjoy Brigantine, because even with the weird and unprecedented conditions we have a town that has plenty for you to enjoy, and take advantage of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Let's go to Councilman Mike Reardon, a little update at large.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for joining us here today. I see a lot of people that have been at all the meetings on the Zoom here, so it's great to see, and we appreciate you taking your time to come out and listen to what's going on and your input when you've given your input. I want to just mention about the farmers market, Karen, and I see Jeanette's on here also, and Trisha Cosgrove with the True Spirit Coalition. Phenomenal job at the farmers market. I mean, it's unbelievable. I was up there a few times, and it's just great to see what's going on there. Fabulous. Keep up the good work. Thank all the farmers market volunteers that help set up, break down. It's just very, very good. So, and they have fabulous items up there too. I like the key lime pie myself, but anyway, thank you, Karen, Jeanette, Tricia, all the volunteers, and John Doring in the Public Works also do a great job.
Fabulous. I was just going to thank John also.
Oh, I never forget John. Don't worry about that. So besides that, speaking about the Green Team, I want to thank all the Green Team volunteers that have been out strolling the neighborhoods, giving out their certificates that I know so many people appreciate getting the certificates every year for their good job at their landscaping and flowers and plants. So thanks to the Green Team for that also.
Mike, excuse me, that's the Garden Club.
The Garden Club, I mean. Yep. Yeah, that's what I meant. Thank you, Karen. Yep. There's a lot of people that are on the Green Team that are on the Garden Club too, but thank you, Garden Club. So let's see, what else? Restaurants are doing real well with the outdoor seating. If you haven't tried any of the restaurants with the outdoor seating now, they're doing phenomenal. It's great. It's a little warm right now, but there's a great breeze. Beaches are phenomenal. I want to compliment the chief, the lifeguards, Kip. I mean, for spreading out the beaches this summer with what we have going on. It's working really, really well. I can tell you also the fishing has been fabulous on the front beaches and the back bays. If you haven't fished, you get out there and it's good fun, good clean fun, and safe. So now this next thing is one of the more important things. I've gotten calls, especially around the primary election, about people that called up and said they were getting incorrect ballots for the primary vote, and maybe there were one party, they got the ballot for another party. Some people didn't get theirs. Some people were throwing them out. They thought it was trash mail. So all that being said, I'd like to, at this time, read a quick voice resolution opposing the full vote by mail election in November 2020 general election. So, Deputy Mayor, if I may, I'd just like to read this quick voice resolution, and then maybe we can have a vote on it. Okay?
Please.
All right. It says, whereas the state of New Jersey conducted an all-out vote-by-mail primary election on July 7th, 2020, and whereas the number of ballots cast by mail overwhelmed the statewide voter registration system, Atlantic County Board of Elections, Atlantic County Superintendent of Elections, and the Atlantic County Clerk. And whereas numerous reports of irregularities in the casting of vote-by-mail ballots were made, including a notable Atlantic City political operative signing a vote-by-mail ballot twice, a voter deceased for 2 years receiving a ballot as his spouse's home, a voter who has been an out-of-state resident for 3 years receiving a ballot, and a registered Republican receiving a Democratic ballot. And whereas the number of votes to be cast in the general election of November 3rd, 2020 will greatly exceed the number of votes cast on July 7th, 2020 primary, particularly since this is a presidential election year. And whereas the costs associated with running an all-out vote-by-mail primary has led to extraordinary costs and expenses, which constitute an unfunded mandate by the state of New Jersey upon Atlantic City. And whereas Governor Murphy is without any legal authority to alter the nature of the general election by executive order and without specific state legislation. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the City of Brigantine governing body, that number one, we oppose any efforts by Governor Murphy via executive order to summarily and without legislative authority, alter the terms and conditions of manner in which the general election on November 3rd, 2020 is to be conducted. Number two, we urge all elections officials to immediately implement safeguards concerning the protection of all vote-by-mail ballots to ensure integrity in the voting process. And number three, a true copy of this resolution shall be provided to Governor Murphy, the Senate President, Assembly Speaker, Chairman of the Atlantic County Board of Chosen Freeholders, Senator Chris Brown, Assemblyman Vince Mazzio, and Assemblyman John Armato. So I hereby certify the foregoing to be a true copy of the resolution, hopefully adopted today by us. Open to any comments and recommendations, and then a vote, please.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Reardon opposing a vote-by-mail election for the general election this year. Is there a second?
I will
I'll
second.
second it.
All right, we have a second. I'll open it up for council comment and discussion.
I totally agree with this. I did not receive a ballot. I had to call them and call the county election board and receive a ballot. And here we are. That was the 7th. We're at the 22nd today, and we still don't have any official results of our local election yet. So I totally, fully support your motion.
Thank you, Karen.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I have one or two things to say.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. This is Ryan Bosey speaking.
Who's muted, Deputy Mayor?
I did not receive my ballot until the.
If I could, at this time, it's open to council comment. There'll be public comment when council's done. We'll open it up to everybody, but right now it's for council to speak. Councilman DeLucre, if you could continue.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I may have to rescind Mike's designation as a national treasure based on that resolution, but let's remember, let's not set up false choices. The reason why we had to have an all-male primary is because the little thing called the pandemic. You can't get across the country. You can't get people to work at the polling places. And you certainly shouldn't, in my opinion, be asking people to take a health risk in order to go in person to vote when, with proper system in place, and granted, New Jersey did not have time to put a proper system in place because this came about so quickly in a state where we had not previously ever had all vote by mail. But you have plenty of examples throughout the country of states where, for years, they've had nothing but mail-in voting and had no issues. There have been no other than anecdotal, and you will always have anecdotal examples of people saying the system didn't work, they didn't get a ballot, they got the wrong ballot, whatever it may be. But you don't have instances of voter fraud. For as much as people like to throw out that phrase, voter fraud, show me the cases where voter fraud has been brought and proven. They're next to none. Voter fraud through mail-in voting is, it's a straw man. It's not an issue. We had problems, and we don't have results yet. So our system in New Jersey was not set up and had to be kind of retrofitted on the fly in order to accommodate all mail voting, all by mail voting. That does not mean that it's something that can't work in the future and can't be refined, but in the short term, let's not kid ourselves. In November, if things haven't dramatically improved, we're still going to be faced with a situation where people are going to be disenfranchised, not by their choice, but by the fact that you can't get people to work the polls, and they can't be asked to, or will make the choice not to, put their health at risk in order to vote. So that to me is so much more of a risk and a problem than some inconveniences and a couple mistakes. And maybe if the example used of the political operative from Atlantic City, if that person has committed an offense, we have laws on the books to deal with that. And that person can be prosecuted and dealt with. If there's any instances of voter fraud that are now known or suspected or come to light, they can be prosecuted. But in the aggregate, that has not been an issue. That has not been a problem of any substance in any of the elections. And I'm pointing again to the states where they've had all mailed ballot elections for years statewide. So this is a solution in search of a problem. And it makes for some nice sound bites maybe. And it certainly echoes what a lot of people, for political reasons, are saying around the country. It is not fact-based and is not warranted.
If I may,
That's all I have to say.
if I may, Deputy Mayor Rick, I gather by your statements, you're obviously not in favor of this resolution. But I honestly believe you're basing your rather nebulous hypothesis on a totally erroneous assumption. I'm not asking to squash vote by mail ballots, but we'd like to have the polls open on election day. And also, I may say, I'd like to say that I know that there's been a request from the president of the Taxpayers Association of Brigantine here that she was hoping that they would open the polls also on November 3rd. So thank you for your input, Rick.
Nebulous though it was.
Any other council comments? Well, I guess one of the things I want to add too, Councilman DeLucre is correct in one point, that there are political undertones whenever statements like this are made, but I don't know that anyone here is trying to be political. I think there is a genuine concern for the election process. I actually was unaware that there were states that do all vote by mail elections and have done so for years. So it's something I definitely would like to look into. One of the things we're concerned with is this literally could be one of the biggest elections in American history. And I don't know if a vote by mail would work or when we would even get the results for this. One of the things City Council has actually been looking into is there's been some issues here locally in Brigantine with mail delivery, pickup and delivery. Nothing against our local postal workers, nothing against the local post office. I mean, everybody there is doing a really good job. And actually in some of our conversations, we're coming to find out that many of the postal workers are working 12 and 13-hour days just to keep up with the volume. One of the things that's been going on with the coronavirus and a lot of businesses being closed, a lot of people have started doing online shopping, online ordering. And what I'm hearing from a lot of the postal workers is that usually during the holiday season, they have a huge volume because people do a lot of ordering for holidays. What they're seeing now with the expansion of online shopping is they're getting 3 times that demand any given week. So they're having a hard time keeping up with all that. And I wonder if you throw a vote by mail in the midst of that, what that's going to do to the system. We've reached out to Congressman Jeff Andrews' office to actually look into what's going on and what can be done to provide our local postal workers and actually postal across the state with the resources that they need. We're waiting on a response for that. so I'm just really concerned with this. The other thing is I don't know if the governor has the authority to do it by executive order, and that might be a legal thing, and that's something that might be handled by the courts. But I do believe that the state legislature does need to make the decision. I believe in Councilman Reardon's resolution that's stating that it's a decision that needs to be made by the state legislature. So I have a lot of concerns with that. As it comes to voter fraud, I don't know if anybody's trying to cheat the system. Maybe people are. I just worry with the overload. How do we know if a ballot's cast if the ballot actually makes it there? People should be given a choice. If people don't feel comfortable at the polls, they should have the option to vote by mail. And if people feel comfortable going to the polls, then they should have the option to go in person. That's one of the founding things, and I think Councilman Haney would support this. I think one of the founding things of this country is that freedom of choice. And people should have the right and the choice to do what works best for them and their families to make sure that they're able to exercise their vote and their rights in the way that works best for them. And I think that's something that this resolution is echoing. If there's no other final comments, I'll leave it open if there's final comments. All right, seeing none, can we have roll call?
Hugh,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
I was muted there, Vince. I tried speaking up. Something happened. I got booted off of Zoom. I did manage to get
Is
back.
there no public comment allowed?
There's public comment. So on this right now, this is with council, but there'll be public comment actually probably right after council comments done. So we'll finish this resolution. I have a couple statements and then we're going to open it up for public comment.
Am I back on, Vince?
You are, Dennis, yes.
Okay. All right. I was just saying I got booted off of booted off of Zoom. Took a couple different avenues I tried there and finally got back on. I unfortunately I missed the end of what Mike had to say. However, with the it can, and I appreciate your comments because I'm a big proponent of civil liberties and things of that nature. Regarding it's nothing but the best of intentions when it started out with the mail-in balloting. I would just say that it's so open to fraudulent misuse. I don't mean to feel like redundant in that, but there's definitely some kinks that got to be worked out in it. It's a big, huge discussion. So maybe Mike can give me or you can give me a Reader's Digest version of how Mike ended it. I just got cut off like right out of the blue.
Yeah, I guess the basic gist of the motion is that Councilman Reardon entered a motion which was seconded to oppose a vote by mail election. He laid out some of the different reasons why people would be against it. One of the things was people receiving wrong ballots, not receiving ballots at all, and the potential for, I guess, fraud. The resolution, if passed, would be forwarded to our state officials as well as the chairman of the board of chosen freeholders. And that's kind of the short version of it.
Okay. So the mechanics of it are set out properly as to where it's going to go and everything?
The mechanics are set up properly, and I think the issue that was raised is that the governor might not have the authority by executive order to do this because it should go through the state legislature. And if the state wishes to move this forward or have a vote by mail election, that the legislature should vote on it.
I'm with Mike on this one. I think until the kinks are ironed out in this thing, it's just too open to fraud and misuse. Particularly if we go to a national level, when we start getting these swing states and then misuse happens there, then we really got issues on a national election. So whatever we can do to kind of put an awareness out there, I'm all for that. So I don't even know if I guess we didn't take the vote yet since you're speaking, or is it a voice vote in general? Or?
Yeah, I know you got logged out and logged back in. We were in the middle of voting.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Lynn, can you tell me where we left off?
Yes, it was Dennis's turn to vote.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Dennis.
Okay, well, I vote yes.
DeLucre,
For the reasons I stated previously, I'm a no vote on this. I would also point out that don't lose sight of what the real choice is here. It's not a question of people's constitutional or fundamental right to make choices. It's that we don't have the ability to guarantee, come close to guaranteeing the safety or the utility of one of those choices, which is the traditional voting at manned polling places. That is what we weren't able to deliver at the time of the primary, and there's a very good chance, sadly, that we won't be able to do that, whatever may be the state of the coronavirus in New Jersey in the November election, because people, A, are not volunteering to work at the polling places, and B, voters are greatly fearful and don't want to be part of being in the kind of crowds that can assemble, particularly in, I don't know if this has been a problem in New Jersey, but it has happened, and it's self-evident throughout the rest of the country. You've got an awful lot of places where, for one reason or another, the number of polling places that are available has been dramatically reduced, so that you force, basically, much larger crowds to be in close proximity than you ever had in a quote-unquote normal polling situation. And, correctly pointed out, it's going to be an important election this year, a presidential election with all kinds of public interest and the desire to vote. What we need to be doing in New Jersey and everywhere is make it easy and practical for people to vote as is possible under the circumstances. You know, whether that somewhere down the line means that we switch over to an all mail-in, or whether we have a dual system, whether we loosen up the restrictions on who can get what we call an absentee ballot, who can vote by mail. I mean, those things can all be discussed and can all be worked out, but we're looking at a window right now of about 4 months before we have another election. And, you know, we have to do in short term whatever can be done. And, oh, by the way, the governor does have the power under his emergency powers to do this if the legislature chooses for whatever reason not to act on it. But we need to do whatever we can to make sure that people can vote in November. Just being practical. So I think our resolution is misguided.
Rick, can I ask you a question real quick, please? Before you cast the vote, did you vote yet or not?
I started by saying no. Maybe you'll change my mind. Go ahead.
Well, if we can find some volunteers to work the polls, which there's a good possibility we may be able to get a couple volunteers, and if there's safe practices put in place, you wouldn't like to give the people an option to maybe go to the polls and vote by themselves, you know, in person?
Oh, we had a form of that option, you know, in the primary, where people who were going to vote by provisional ballot had to do that in person. So if you can, there are a couple ifs in there. If we were able to do that, and that's always the key. If we were able to ensure that people would in fact be safe, that there would be an adequate number of polling places, and that they would be staffed, then that's how we've always voted. So that's not a problem. Then if, you know, a person who was a little leery of doing that wanted to and had the ability without restriction and without having to go through any hoops to vote by mail, let them do that. And a person who was comfortable otherwise and had access to, you know, a reasonably convenient polling spot as they have historically had, they want to do that, that's fine. It's getting people to vote, Mike.
Thank you, Rick. So I'd like to amend my resolution to what Rick says. Maybe not, maybe not.
From now on until the end of council.
I'm glad you guys are getting along. So you guys have come a long way. I'm very
Your guidance, Vince.
Thank you. Now, you know, it's important that we're able to have these kind of discussions here at council. And I think the important thing of this resolution is bringing attention to the issue. You know, because one of the things we heard in the primaries is a lot of people didn't know that it was vote by mail. And you could give the argument that they should have opened the envelope, they should have went through it, or they should have known their options, but they didn't. So regardless of how people vote on this, it is bringing attention to the issue, and it's letting people know that there is a potential for a vote by mail election coming this November. I know me personally, I'm big on choice. I believe that people should have a choice. If they choose to go to the poll, they should be able to do that. If they don't feel comfortable, then they should have the choice to vote by mail. And that's just a personal philosophy of my own. I know Hamilton Township and Summers Point have also passed similar resolutions, just voicing their concern. And just for the public at home to understand that a resolution is literally just a statement of thought or statement of idea on behalf of, the city of Brigantine, that this is what we, the voice we want heard or an idea we want heard. So that's what we're trying to do here. So I'd like to thank Mike for bringing it up, and I vote yes.
Mike, did we actually get a vote from you?
Mike, you're muted.
I vote yes. Thank you.
Motion carried.
Perfect. Thank you. I just wanted to give a couple of updates. I know with the recent power outages that we've had on the island, there's been a lot of questions and concerns about the reliability of our electrical infrastructure. I wanted to give a reminder that Atlantic City Electric is starting a big infrastructure project this fall. They did a number of public meetings last year. The project is going to replace the existing substation on the south end of Brigantine with a modern state-of-the-art facility that is prepared to handle more extreme weather and support the community's continued growth. They are also rebuilding the 2 critical transmission lines between Atlantic City and Brigantine. Atlantic City Electric, as I said, they held public meetings last year, invited the public to come out to see the project, to know what was going on. They've met with council a number of times. I know Mayor Andy Simpson has worked really closely, making sure the project works for Brigantine. One of the big things that came up in this originally, Atlantic City Electric was going to run large poles down Brigantine Boulevard. And these poles would have been about 3 foot in diameter. Mayor Simpson had a lot of issues and concerns with that and continued to work with Atlantic City Electric. And it actually worked out once they did a soil study that our island couldn't handle the large poles. So now all of these lines are going to be run underground, which is really good for our community. And I really want to thank Mayor Simpson for his dedication and staying on top of this project, because it really benefited the people of Brigantine. To give you an idea, that these lines are going to run down the median strip of the boulevard. And then originally they were going to go up 38th Street, but because everything's underground, it's going to run down the middle, underneath the ground, Harbor Beach Boulevard to that substation. So according to Atlantic City Electric, this project is going to help to minimize power outages in the future. It's also part of our storm resiliency that the state has initiated. So we want to make sure that we remind people about that project and how it's going to help the island. We've also asked Atlantic City Electric to do another public update once they have the project finalized, and they will be attending one of our September council meetings. So this way they can give some final details on that and make sure that people know what's going on with the project. If anybody has any questions about the project, they actually gave us a phone number that you can reach out to. So the number for Atlantic City Electric is 609-625-8888. And that is if you have any questions, especially if you're living in the area. And I'll give that number one more time. It's 609-625-8888. Just something for council to consider. This is nothing we're moving on right away. I know that council is aware that the county is doing a redesign project of the Brigantine Circle, and actually we've been calling it a roundabout. So the circle, the roundabout, whatever it is you want to call it. But in the meantime, I guess they're doing that update on there in order to try to address some of the traffic concerns. I know that the city has received a number of complaints about the traffic issues around the Lighthouse Circle. One of the recommendations has actually come from our city engineer about putting in yield signs on Brigantine Boulevard. This would be coming in and out of the circle, and the purpose of the yield signs would be to restore a natural or normal flow of traffic through the circle. To give an example, on Bayshore, we have stop signs there. So there's a clear direction as to what traffic's supposed to do. Those people coming in from Bayshore, they stop. When it's clear, they go. But some people treat the Lighthouse Circle as a circle. Some people treat it as just a straight pass-through with an obstruction. So that's where we're running into issues. This would just be a temporary fix until the county is able to redesign that to restore or correct the traffic flow. Nothing we need to vote on, nothing we need to do today, but something we would look to do later in the year. And just to put it out to the community and just put it out to council that this was a recommendation by our city engineer. One of the other things I'm going to talk about, I know there's some questions out there about kids returning to school. Our superintendent, Glenn Robbins, at our Brigantine Community School had a meeting a couple of weeks ago to introduce the reopen plan for the school. And one of the things I want to thank him and all the staff for is, one, having a really well thought out plan, and two, inviting a lot of the community leaders and families and parents and stakeholders to be a part of this process. They're still working out the final details based on input from the parents and community leaders. They have a really solid plan. The plan does need to be approved by the state. So once the school board finalizes it and votes on it, it'll go forward. And one of the things I really like is that they're giving parents an option. If the parents feel comfortable sending their kids to school, the kids are able to go back to school. If not, they will have a virtual option. So again, it gives parents the best choice for their kids. And some of the things that needs to be considered. You know, I know a lot of people are concerned about the health and physical health of the children as it comes to COVID. But also one of the things that people are looking at is the social and emotional needs of those students. You know, not being in school, not being around their friends, and a lot of the stress is taking a toll on the children. So that's something they're considering. And also for a lot of parents as they return back to work, you know, some of the things that have come up to council and some of the community leaders is, if parents are going back to work and you have young children, what do you do with your children? You know, if you're going to put them in a daycare facility, they might as well be in school at that point. So these are a lot of things that the school has taken into consideration, and also the cost of childcare. You know, if you're having childcare at home, there's a lot of families who just don't make enough money to do that. So it's just a lot of thought. If anybody has any questions or comments about what the school's doing, definitely reach out to the superintendent, Glenn Robbins. He will answer any questions, and I think they're trying to do their best to make this work for all of our families. One of the things I also want to do is 4th of July weekend. All of our city departments really stepped up big. I know our police, our beach patrol, our beach fee office, you know, public works. We got a lot of comments about how outstanding everybody in the city was. But one of the things I want to make sure that we give credit to is Mayor Andy Simpson. You know, these are some issues and some things that have come up, you know, over the last couple of years that we were trying to address, especially with everything that happened with the 4th of July last year. And Mayor Simpson really worked, you know, behind the scenes. And I know Mike Reardon's been involved in that, especially with the beach committee, and myself, really worked hard to make sure the city had the resources and backing that it needed to handle this 4th of July weekend. And we need to make sure that we give credit for all of the hard work that he did in preparation for this, making sure our city departments are in a good position to handle the weekend well. So I'm very grateful for all of that. And with that being said, I'd like to open it up to public comments.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. First up, so we can make sure we get her in without getting lost, is Mrs. Phillips. So go ahead, you're unmuted.
Yes, Mrs. Phillips.
I think that Ann had some concerns with logging in, so she had sent me her questions or her concerns. And I think probably you addressed both of them, but the one was request that council pass a resolution in support of in-person voting. And the second was she requested that each council member comment on the plans to return to school and how they felt about that.
Okay. I mean, I guess I've already kind of talked about my thoughts and my feelings on that. If any other council members want to speak on that, they can. But honestly, it's probably a good question for the superintendent. If she has specific questions, maybe we could have her reach out to our superintendent, Glenn Robbins, or if not, I can have the superintendent reach out to her if she has specific questions and concerns. And also, if you could let Mrs. Phillips know that we did pass the resolution she was requesting.
Okay, so anybody that's called in on the telephone that is not in with audio or video, if you hit the star and then the 9 key on your phone, that will let me know that you want to be recognized and ask your question. So I'll give everybody a minute or so as I scroll through the list, but star and 9, that will activate your audio. Please do not unmute yourself and start speaking.
I'm on. Hi, may I ask my question?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Webb.
Thank you very much. I just want to say on the voting issue,
You state your
I
name and
do,
address. I'm sorry.
pardon me?
And can you state your name and address for the record?
Sure, I'm Annie Webb and I'm on Vernon Place. I'd rather not list my whole address. Do I need to do that?
I have to ask Lynn. Lynn?
That's fine. She just says.
Thank you very much. So I just want to say on voting, I think you're conflating two issues. And I would agree with you that polling places should be open. However, as a poll worker this year, and I'll be honest, I vote in Pennsylvania, I did volunteer. A lot of poll workers usually are elderly citizens and they were not comfortable working the polls. So I think that, you know, yes, polls should be open, but you also should not be dissing mail-in voting by saying it's rife for fraud. There just is no facts that back that up. There are none. And as Councilman DeLucre said, many states, there are 5 states actually in the United States that do 100% mail-in voting. Votes are tracked. You get a barcode. You're able to see if your vote was cast. If you don't get your ballot, you should be able to, yes, walk into a polling place and do provisional voting. I mean, I would agree with you that for this election, you know, polling places should be open, but I just would request that you not conflate two issues and support, you know, opening polling places by saying something that's incorrect, that mail-in voting is rife with voter fraud. It just simply is not. There are no facts backing that up. So that's all I have to say, and everybody should be able to vote, and if they want to walk into a polling place, that's great, but that only works if you have poll volunteers. So I would hope, especially the gentleman who put forth this resolution, volunteers to work the polls, because otherwise it doesn't happen. Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you. And actually, Annie, thank you for sharing the part about the barcode, because I think that's something a lot of people didn't know about. And that was questions we've received, is actually how is it tracked through the system. So thank you for providing me.
That's how it works in Pennsylvania. I'm assuming that's how it works here. And I'd be happy to answer anybody's questions about how it works in Pennsylvania. This year, it was the first time, and they had a really great system. And you guys should work with the state in ensuring that the New Jersey system is just as good. Thanks. That's all I'll say on it.
Sure, thank you.
I want to say thank you also, Annie, for your input. And I don't know, were you asking if I could work the polls on election day?
Sure, I suggest you should.
Well, I would love to work the polls on election day, but I'm sure there's people out there that wouldn't like to see me sitting at the table when you walk in to vote. I could be wrong. But really appreciate your input there. And, you know, the hundreds of people that waited in line at motor vehicles to get in and take care of their auto business, or automotive registrations and license and stuff too. I know that they probably wouldn't have a problem standing in line at a poll booth on election day, but thank you very much. And if I could just say one more thing, I want to make sure that I'm not misunderstood, that I am not trying to get rid of or eliminate vote by mail by any means at all. So let's make sure that you understand that, and I'm perfectly clear on that, okay? I'm just asking that the poll booths be open. So do you understand that, Annie?
Bless you, Paul.
Thank you.
And I guess not. Or maybe she can't respond.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just gave him a thumbs up. That's great. I agree with
Okay.
you. Polls open, mailing. Let's not say it's rife with fraud because there's no proof of that.
And you fully understand I'm not trying to eliminate vote by mail, right?
Yes, I understand that.
Okay.
But I think you need to have a marketing campaign to get people, younger people, to work the polls. Sitting there working at the polls is the most nonpartisan, wonderful, patriotic thing that you can do. It's amazing. So,
you know, when you stated that a lot of seniors work the polls, that's absolutely true. There's been people working the poll booths for years. And normally when they've been working the polls, they're more or less, I believe, the first people to get to come back and work the polls. And I can tell you, I've been asked by many younger people if they could work the polls, but I don't know if it's a waiting list or what the process is, but, you know, we'll do our best no matter what.
well, you guys should figure that out. Jesus, the city council, to figure out how to get people to work the polls. I mean,
Well, we don't have any problem with people working the polls. You know, I mean,
Okay.
that's why it's not a problem. We've figured it out. Thank you.
great.
Could I just add to a good point brought up by you, Mike? And ma'am, thank you for your comments. At the highest levels, people have said, just even with the mail, and like I said in my statements, I'm not advocating doing away with it. I just spoke about how it could be open for fraud and misuse. You said there's been no incidents. There have been. You can shake your head, but I'm just want to say to you that there have been incidents of being these vote-in ballots, mail-in ballots being stolen, forged, altered, where they've gone to addresses where people haven't lived for years, people not getting them, and then them being received. Just one example. So, you know, there's exceptions to, you know, to what you might think. You know what I mean? We just all have to research the thing. That's why I said I think we just it needs to be looked at very carefully and the right safeguards put in place so that the legitimate mail-in ballots are properly accounted for and not those that would be illegitimate. Thank you. I appreciate your interest. Thanks.
One of the things I'd like to add too is, you know, I think we as council have had plenty of opportunity to speak on this, but this ordinance was brought up at a time when people couldn't speak. We did vote, we did speak our mind. And, you know, I do think we should give people an opportunity to at least voice their opinions, whether we agree or disagree with that. And I think that's what the point of public comment is right now, is to give people an opportunity to speak and to share their ideas. And if we can, I'd like to continue with public comment.
Deputy Mayor, give me a moment. I'll scroll through the list. Mr. Mackey, I see you. Give me just a moment, please. Okay, Jim Mackey's up, Deputy Mayor.
Hey, Jim, how are you? You're muted, Jim, just so you know.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. First of all, good afternoon, Deputy Mayor, Council. First, I want to start off with it was a great 4th of July weekend, and hats off to everybody that partook in that. You know, on the level of city workers and things like that. Everything went great. I also want to thank you, Deputy Mayor Sarah, and Councilman Haney for the work you did along with Senator Brown to get the governor to rescind the flying the flags at half-staff, as the senator noted in his letter to the governor, that even presidents only receive 30 days at half-staff. So, like I said, people have died wearing that flag on their shoulder, on that patch on their shoulder. So it was sort of minimizing what that flag means to so many people out there and their families, and also the folks that are left behind. So I want to thank you for that, and great job. And see, when you beat the drum long enough, sometimes things do change. So great effort by the both of you. Also, great upping last night there, Councilman Reardon. You know, I heard nothing but great things from my son Liam. He said you called the balls and strikes perfectly.
I call him like I see him, Jim.
I know, and so do I. So anyhow, as far as the mail-in ballots, Councilman, I'm glad you brought that up. It's been all over, you know, Harry Hurley for the last few days. Well, I'm glad you were the one that took it up for that resolution. And I just want to bring, this whole thing about, there's no fraud, there's no abuse. Okay, my son, James Charles, he's been living out in Maui for the last 4 years. We received a ballot, in his name. Okay, I could have easily voted twice for Karen View if I had wanted to. Okay, I could have, because and you know what? No one would have known the difference. Okay, nobody, because those signatures are not checked. Okay, you're not checking tens of thousands, and now there's going to be 120 million signatures checked. BS. So the thing is, there's a thing called absentee ballot. If you know now you don't want to go to the polls, you request an absentee ballot. I did it for 30 years in the service. Okay, when I was jumping from state to state, I moved 17 times in my career, and I did not have the opportunity to change it. Every time I moved. So the thing is, it's a thing called absentee. People are mistaking absentee ballots for mail-in ballots. Yes, the absentee is dropped in the mailbox, but it is requested by the voter. It's just not sent out willy-nilly to everybody that's on the rolls, okay? There's people that, like I said, my son's been off Brigantine for 4 years now. And 4 years before that, he was up in New York State going to college, okay? So that's just one vote, okay? Now you have people that have died that are still on the rolls. Those ballots are going to the last address that they lived. Well, chances are there's different people living there, okay? And you know what? There's unscrupulous people out there. There's people that live and die by trying to rig elections, and there are, on both sides. Okay, so the thing is, you want a ballot, it's absentee. You request it now, and but as far as mailing in, having everybody receive ballots, how many? What was it? 70%. There was an issue right here in this county. What was it, Mike? You've been following that with Harry Hurley.
Say
It's
that again.
astronomical.
Right.
So the thing is, half of our ballots now are going to be sort of like thrown to the wind. This is ridiculous. So I applaud you, Councilman Reardon, for bringing this forward. I was going to bring it up had you not had someone on council not brought it up before. So I just wanted to mention that. So that's all I got. And in the future, just in case, that way, in case there's some more power outages, make sure you got plenty of candles, okay?
Yeah.
So luckily we had a five candle candelabra. I thought we were at the Addams Family the other night. So anyhow, thanks, and appreciate it, and keep up the great work, everybody.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you for your service, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank
Jim,
you.
could you state your name and address for the?
Also, yes, James Mackey, 1325 Varden Road.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
Any other public comment?
I don't see any, Deputy Mayor.
All right, so we'll close public comment at this time. Is there any final council comments?
Just want to say, Vince, if I could just say that number one, there was I think it was 130 some, maybe 131 or maybe even more than that, beach rescues on the 4th of July weekend with the riptide. So I was speaking to Mike Burrell in all his years. Mike with his, I think what's Mike got, 51 years, I think, or something like that. It's incredible. I mean, we'll talk about dedication to duty. He said he can never recall a number that high. I mean, I was down the beach that day, and you could speak firsthand, Vince, you being a lifeguard yourself, just what they had to deal with there. So great job by our beach patrol. And once again, just like tip my hat to our men and women in blue. Keep up the good work. we love yous all, and we just stick with the program. All right. God bless America. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other comments? All right. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us for our council meeting today. It's great to have all the public participation, and I'd like to thank council and all our different department heads for all the work that you guys have done. These have been, as Karen said in her prayer, very challenging and unprecedented times. And the fact that all of our department heads and all of our council members have been able to pull together, and all of our employees to make this work, has really put Brigantine in a strong position. So I'd like to thank everybody for everything they've done, here in the city and throughout the community. We have a very, very special community that's like nothing else anywhere in the rest of the world. So with that being said, can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
There's no second, we can't go.
Second.
There we go. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passed. All right, well, thank you very much, and be sure to tune in soon to our next council meeting coming up in August. Bye, everybody.